In this video, I'm going to give you important and unique strategies, some of the common mistakes to avoid in self-help listening part 2. Most people think this is the easiest section because it sounds like a normal daily conversation. But that's exactly where the trap is. This part is not testing whether you understand English. It is testing whether you can understand what people actually mean in real life. And in real life, people almost never speak directly, right? So if you listen only to words, you will miss the answer. But if you listen for intention, tone, and hidden meaning, this section becomes very scoring. So let me give you my first strategy. Listen for what is not said. So here is the first shift that you need to make. So don't just listen to what they are saying. You need to listen to what they are avoiding. Because in real conversations, people don't say no directly, right? Instead, they say things like, I'll see, or I have a lot going on, or maybe later. So these are not neutral statements, these are soft refusals. While listening, you have to keep asking yourself one question again and again. What are they actually trying to say without saying it directly? Okay. And the second strategy is polite language is often a mask. So it's a politeness trap. You will hear a lot of polite English in this section. And that politeness is not always positive. When someone says, that sounds interesting, it does not automatically mean they like the idea. Many times it simply means they are being polite while disagreeing. Okay, so don't get impressed by nice words. You always need to listen to what comes after because the real meaning usually comes after a small pause or connecting word like but or actually. So you're not supposed to trust the surface level positivity. Got it? And the third strategy is you need to follow the emotional energy. So, this is something very powerful. Instead of focusing only on language, start focusing on emotional energy. So, try to ask yourself, does the speaker sound excited or unsure or hesitant or slightly annoyed? Because the tone will often tell you the answer faster than the words, right? If someone says something with hesitation, it usually means they are not fully convinced. If they sound energetic and confident, that's usually where the conversation is moving. So stop listening like a student and you need to start listening like a human. And the fourth strategy is track small changes in opinion because in part 2 people change their minds very quickly and these changes are very small but very important. A sentence can start positive and end negative, or it may start negative and slowly become positive. So don't fix your answer too early. Let the conversation finish developing because the final opinion is what matters, not the first reaction. And the fifth strategy here is watch the reaction, not the suggestion, because here the reaction matters. Usually, one person suggests something and the other person reacts to it. And here is the key, the answer often depends more on the reaction than the suggestion. So, if one person says an idea but the other person sounds unsure or hesitant, then that idea is probably not the final decision. Got it? So, you should always give more importance to the response than the proposal. And the next strategy is notice repeated ideas. If something is mentioned again and again in the conversation, that is a strong signal. Because in natural speech, people repeat things that matter to them, right? It could be a concern, it could be a plan or a reason. So if you hear the same idea coming back in different ways, don't ignore it. That's probably connected to your answer. Okay. And the seventh one, the final one is don't trust early clarity. Sometimes the beginning of the conversation sounds very clear and easy, and that's exactly where students get trapped. They hear something logical, they feel confident, and they select the answer too early. But then the conversation shift, right? So you need to train yourself to stay slightly patient. Let the full idea develop before you decide. Got it? And let's move on to some of the mistakes, the common mistakes that students make. Taking words literally. This is the biggest mistake. They take everything at face value. If someone says, I'll think about it, so many students assume interest, but in real communication, this means polite refusal, right? So if you stay literal, you lose marks. You need to interpret the meaning, not just understand the vocabulary. And the second mistake is ignoring connecting words. So words like but, however, actually, and I mean are not just fillers. They are the signals. They tell you that the speaker is about to change the direction. If you ignore these words, then you miss the turning point of the conversation. So please be alert. And confusing speakers. Yes, another common issue is mixing up who said what. When you lose track of the speakers, you lose the logic of the conversation. Got it? So try to stay aware of who is suggesting and who is reacting or responding. And panicking after missing information. Yes, if you miss one sentence, please don't try to go back mentally, because the moment you do that, you miss the next part as well. Just move forward and reconnect. The conversation will always give you another clue. Got it? So, in self help listening part two, first you need to start treating the conversation like a story unfolding in real time, not like a listening test. Because when you follow it as a story, who wants what, what's the conflict, what changes, then you stop chasing words and you can start understanding meaning. Second, you need to build a habit of anticipating the second speaker's response, because in daily conversation, people usually react in predictable ways like agreement, disagreement, suggestion, hesitation. So, if you mentally expect the reaction, you will catch answers faster than just listening passively. And then you need to focus on decision points in the conversation, because most answers in part two come when something changes, like a plan gets cancelled, an opinion shift, or a solution is chosen. So you need to train your mind to notice those turning points. Okay. Another powerful trick is to listen for contrast words. This I already told you. You need to listen for the words like but, actually, instead, or I thought, because whatever comes after these words is very often the real answer, not what came before. Got it? Also, don't just hear the words. You have to track speaker intention. That means, is this person trying to convince or complain or suggest or explain? Because these questions are often based on why something is said, not just what is said. Okay? So you have to stop aiming for 100% understanding. Yes, you should always aim for to answer with confidence, because even if you understand only 70% of the conversation clearly, that's enough to get the correct answers if you stay focused on the meaning. Another smart move is to use emotional clues as anchors, as I told you, right? Because emotions are easier to remember than facts. So if someone sounds frustrated or excited or unsure, you can attach that feeling to the moment, and it helps you to recall the answers instantly. Okay? And train yourself to ignore filler language like, you know, I mean, well, because these don't carry answers and only waste your attention. So, your job is to filter signal from noise. And one of the more advanced trick is, when two options look similar, you have to choose the one that matches the overall direction of the conversation, not just a single sentence, because correct answers usually align with the bigger picture. Got it? So try to apply the strategies that we have discussed so far and try to avoid the mistakes in order to get higher score. That's all for today's video. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more self-help tips. See you in the next video. Bye bye.